Yeah, I don't know.
I know there's a bunch of people here that really are appreciative of your support and how loud and proud they were you were down in the state tournament and listening on radios around our community. Please join and welcome me back, the 2005 State
The Blondies from Canby.
We're back. Welcome back and congratulations to the cheerleaders, the managers, the statisticians, the coaches, and the wrestlers of this wonderful, wonderful team. I'm going to call on Chris Parrish to introduce the cheerleaders, people that made us loud and proud down at the state tournament. Pierce thought they were going to all yell us for a while. I think we got to them really well. Chris?
I've had the last 5 days with 8 girls, close quarters, and we all came back alive. They did a good job of cheering down there, but then it's not good to cheer when you got a good team to cheer for.
Yeah.
Sam Paul that does staff. Harry Carver. The other two, I know, will step up to the plate. And Allison, you're going to have to find somebody to help you with staff because Sam's going to be gone. I'd just like to personally congratulate the team and the coaches for a good year. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce the coaches and have them each say a few words. And I want to start with Kevin Sakrowski because I know he was just as nervous as I was. Good matches. Mr. Sakrowski, please come up here for a second.
Well, it's been a privilege to be with this team. They just never gave up, and I'd just like to say there's a lot of kids that stayed home too that were real close to, felt bad for them that they couldn't get the wrestling time in, but they'll be having their spot next year. So, thank you guys for everything.
Mr. Richter, the per flash, I am not anticipating that we are going to pay any of those chiropractic bills. Adam Richter.
Evan jumped on him, you know, he carried him across the line.
I'd just like to thank the team for, letting me work out with you every day. We really pushed them this year, and some days they push back. But it was a fun year, all the way around, from the fans to the team, the cheerleaders, and the coaches. It was just great. So I'd like to thank all of you.
The assistant coach that really pushes and pushes and pushes. He got 4 new middle names, I think, this year. Someplace, somehow, I'm not quite sure what that's all about. Maybe we'll find out that, but I don't know how he makes the time in his busy schedule. But Coach Stokes, will you come up and say a few words?
We just knew that Hacker had a good chance of winning, and we wanted the strongest person out there. He got it. Yeah, we've been working these kids really hard this year, and I guess for us, it was a pleasure as far as we told them what we needed out of them and what they need to do, and they did it beyond. Don't tell my mom. Anyway, great bunch of guys. From the beginning, it was just a matter of making these guys believe. And I know people, they can't see it. Our walls is our goals. We want to get on that wall individually and as a team. And we talk about all the time that getting the state's not going to be easy. Getting up there is not going to be easy winning anything. But as long as we faced that challenge that it was going to be hard and we faced it, they showed they could do it, and they did. I'd like to thank the seniors. It's been a real pleasure. Younger guys, get ready for next year. All right. After that, coaches, had a great time with them. We had a little excitement all year long with Stephen first and Mr. Mercer, and we used that because everybody brought everybody together as a team, and we seen in reality that you can't take things for granted. And we used them as our helping us on our goals. And thank you.
I thought you were going to tell us what WW whatever meant. We'll get to that later. Our head coach, when it rains it pours. It always seems the blessings and busyness, and the busier you are, the busier you get, the busier you get, something else trips the trigger. And he's had one of those years. In his life, and I know he'll never ever forget a minute of it because it was and has been one of those winners. The head coach, he did a tremendous job this year with these kids. Technique-wise, he's probably one of the best technicians in the state. I know as a coach, many times I look at matchups and try to get things set for a team. Hopefully, I switch one kid around and maybe I gain 2 points. I don't know how he looks at a team and decides that we can put in their alternate in this spot and end up getting a tech fall and 3 falls, and the last one being against the state place winner. But our head coach knows how to do it, Coach Fink.
I know that sounded like I was getting a raise next year. I'll try not to make this too long because I don't want to use up all my material for the wrestling banquet at the end of the year. I was sitting in my room this morning, and usually you get about 5 o'clock up there in the year where don't get a whole lot of sleep up there, early rise, and I was just trying to think, how to characterize this team and stuff. But the more I thought about it, I thought, really, this is probably the best team I've ever coached. Just thinking back, I was thinking back to November 5th when I was laying there, and I thought, me and Gary were going to Tracy for the rules meeting, and we were thinking, how are we going to get through here this year? We think we have a good shot, we got a lot of guys back, and we were talking about the pass, and we thought, God, there's really 6 guys that we don't think we can probably beat. Well, there's 14 weights, and there's 6 guys we're not going to beat. We're probably going to have to win 8 of those. And when we got back, we kind of talked to the kids right away at the end of the season and said, listen, this is going to take everyone to get it done. And, they have 6 region champs, and they're sitting home as a team. I think that's a real credit to everyone that was out there on our team that were able to overcome that. And I remember at Regions, after we won it too, newspaper man came and said, when did you think you had this kind of team? And I said, I really thought after the second Watertown tournament, we went in the first week and we didn't have 2 starters in, and the next week we had 2 more starters out, we had 2 guys back and 2 guys out, and we were able to take third the first time and first the next time. I thought, we've had totally different lineups both times and we still had success. That told me that, hey, we got a lot of guys we can plug into our lineup and still be very strong, and we can move around and still have a very successful team. So that's when I really thought, this team's got some serious potential. We have a lot of guys that can wrestle, and just looking at the records of how many kids lettered this year, we had a lot of different guys in there, and they all did an excellent job. When you get up to the state tournaments, the newspaper guy, he loves my quote that if they get him, it's like winning 2 matches. And yeah, that's true, but your losses are just as important as your wins up there. And the losses we had this week, especially the first 2 rounds, were good losses. And I went through the book when I came home. I just kind of wanted to look at some stuff. And I thought, it's been a dang long time since we've been playing. And I went back to the McRae match, which was the first region match that they really considered the start of the state tournament. And from McRae all the way up to Pierce, when we first got Canby, we've gone 75 matches without anyone getting Canby. If that doesn't show you the team, I don't know what does. That's everybody's job there. And then I thought, God, there's some pretty good guys in there too. Then I went through and I counted how many state qualifiers there were. There's 24 state qualifiers, 17 state place winners, and 2 state champions. And we didn't get pinned by any of them.
Ooh.
And anytime you're going to have success as a team, there has to be sacrifice. And then I started thinking about all the sacrifices some guys have made. We asked some guys to cut down at the end of the year. So some serious cutting to make this team stronger, and they did it. And we also asked some guys to give up 20, 30 pounds, and they were willing to do it. And we had some guys that had injuries and had surgeries, and they came back and still contributed in the room and out on the mat. And just all the way up and down. What we asked people to do, they did this year. And they had success. And we talk about all the time, or every year, that, hard work is what gets it done. There's not a ton of super athletes. There isn't. there's some good athletes with a lot of heart and did a lot of hard work. Now, Mobasso, they got some super athletes. We have good athletes, and they put it together as a team. And those are just some of the reasons I think. Number one, we didn't get pinned. We got pinned when we needed them. And all 14 guys contributed. And that's why I really think, even beyond the state tournament teams that I've had here, that these guys are probably the best team that I've coached. Just a couple thank yous. Thank Kevin for doing the junior high. And he's also getting our elementary program back on the right track again by having those kids go over after school and practicing with our junior high. And I think that's really going to help us down the road. Evan, or Adam, thanks for wrestling with Evan every day. I kept telling him it was good for him, keeping him shape and stuff. And Gary, I was out for a long time. Thank you for picking up the slack. Next year, if you look at the state tournament book, the teams in Class A, there's a lot of young teams. We're young, but there's a lot of young teams. And if these guys are willing to do the things in the offseason like they did last year, having 18 guys go up to Jay Robinson camp and getting in the weight room, we can't see that that is what it takes. Something wrong. If they're willing to do that, we're going to be sitting in your spot next year. First place is in second. When you're up there and you're wrestling team and individual, it is a serious game. And you are hitting tough kid after tough kid after tough kid. You're adding 3 matches to an already very heavy load when you're in it as an individual. So, and I thought all the guys up there did a great job in the individual portion. And really looking forward to next year for me. These guys really got potential. Hopefully, they'll get back up there and fight for it again. I know the Piers guy said to me after we beat Greenbush, he walked up to me, the coach, and said, "Where the hell did you guys come from?" I was from Canby. He said, "Well, I know you're from Canby." I said, "No one said anything about you guys all year long." I said, "Well, that's the way we like it." That's fine. We're here now, and we'll see you tomorrow night, I said.
It's always been my belief, being involved in athletics as a coach and an administrator, it takes a lot to have successful teams. It takes community support. You establish the expectation. Every time you see a coach, every time you see an athlete, you set the expectation what's going to happen on at that next contest. You really do. Community support, with the support of the community, and hollering and cheering and doing things, I know for a fact, was a key factor in my son winning a state championship. Thank you. Besides community, really, I always think, particularly, it's the athletes. You have to have that core of athletes, and it's the coaches and the support that goes around it, all the way around it. Probably supports it, but it's the students. And in particularly, within the students, it is a special group of students that makes or breaks the team. That special group of students are the seniors. These seniors led this team. They created an attitude of power, of strength, of purpose, and positive attitude that led them from the day one to today in one direction only. I'd like them to come forward, and I'll call them all up here, and then I'll ask them each to say something. Keith Olson. Keith keeps on going and going and going and going. He doesn't quit. When you watch him wrestle, and when you watch him at the end of the year, tougher and tougher and tougher and tougher. This guy doesn't quit.
Even though I wasn't wrestling up at state, I still think we did good practicing up in the wrestling room and transferring it from up there down onto the net. And with what, a 31-3 record, that shows.
Andrew Fall. Andrew Fall. I don't know how many know how hard this man worked this year. He pushed himself and pushed himself and pushed himself. He worked very hard. And I know for a fact he was one of the biggest keys that we were in the state finals. Why this team beat the second of two higher ranked teams than us when he won his match against ACGC. Andrew Fall.
Well, thanks for all coming up there, the people that did. Thank you. I don't talk very much, so I'll keep it short.
Josh Long. Josh stepped in against Greenbush, and he didn't slow down from the first time the whistle blew until it ended.
It was a fun season. Couldn't be a better team to be with. You guys are going to be really strong. We're only losing 6 seniors this year, so you'll be really strong next year. And thanks for everyone coming.
Josh Stortham. Sixth in the state, and pins that guy in the third period.
Some of these guys came up to me crying and they're like, God, I'm so sorry we couldn't do it for you. I was like, look up, man. I was like, you did it for me. Look where we're at. So don't be apologizing. Say you're welcome. Been in the championships for the first time since '95. How many seniors can say that at the time of my life? And being strong next year, I'm going to miss you.
Shane Hyden. He always gives it his best. He keeps going too. He's one of those people that steps to the plate and keeps on swinging.
Just want to say that there couldn't be a better group of guys to be on a team with. And I wish I was able to come back next year, but I can't.
Mike Falcon. This guy won 2 matches in the state tournament. You know, if he won them both in a row, he would have been a place winner. Mike.
good luck to you next year. You'll be good.
I got to correct Josh. He said there are only 6 senior wrestlers. There are 7 senior wrestlers. You know, yeah, I know. Anyway, you know how at Texas A&M they have the 12th man? In other words, there's this unwritten person on the football team in Texas A&M that comes up and steps up to the plate and keeps on swinging. Well, we had a 15th guy this year. He kept on swinging. I got to tell a story. You know, we went up to Ortonville, and Ortonville does have a really good team, but they're really strong, and they're really passionate about wrestling, some of these guys. And they're hard to wrestle because they're strong, and they're a little bit unorthodox and stuff. And, you know, I got done, and he was just mad as man could be. He said, we're out of shape. We're out of shape. Oh, he's mad. He runs in the locker room. He yells at him and says, we're going to run in the morning. We're going to run in the morning. We're going to run in the morning. So, everybody's up there. You know, we might have lost a couple matches. Or, yeah, everybody's got the hour, got to run in the morning. Everybody's there running in the morning except for the 15th man. The 15th man forgot about a little responsibility that his mother needed him to take care of, like taking care of his little brother. So he had a fairly good excuse. But I think it probably cost 2 marks on the wall that day. Step and fall.
It was fun. I'm sure we got in our arguments, but it was still fun. We had a lot of fun up there. Good team to be with. Thanks, guys.
Well, should we get to the cookies and juice, guys, or should we just pass the microphone on? Does anybody else have anything they want to say?
I just want to thank everyone. Believe it or not, everyone was influential in me winning this year, the state championship, and influential in this team doing so well. You don't think so? You know, going into that last period against Schwann's, you know, it's so uplifting to have a crowd rise to their feet and start cheering for you. It's hard to explain it. It's that feeling, and you just get, it's like you get extra energy from the people, and you just, you know, it just makes you want to do it that much more for them and for yourself. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Richter for practicing with me every day and really pushing me. Thanks for catching me too. Gary for believing in me, because he always told me that I could do it, and you know, I don't know what else to say. Gary told me I could do it even when I didn't think, you know. I'd like to thank Mr. Fink also for pushing me up in the practice room. He's the one that really helped me get my balance down. He started showing me throws at the beginning of the year, you know, and it's something that really helped me throughout the year, staying on my feet, staying balanced, especially in the final match against Mr. Schwann's. So I want to thank you for that. And I also want to thank my dad for pushing me all the time. So thank you.
for taking down Tubby in the summer, just so he'd go to wrestling camp with us. I'd especially like to thank Gerard too for switching over to basketball. Thanks. I'll explain that for you. It's kind of fun. This summer we were sitting in the yard out in God knows where. We were kind of bored, thinking around like we always do at work. And Andrew, the little tough guy that he is, he's like, "Come on, I can take you." And I go, "All right. If you take me down, you don't have to go for wrestling this year." He's like, "Fine, whatever." You know, he's that tough. So we go out there and spar a little bit, and I ended up taking him down, and I was like, "Well, you come to camp with us." And came to camp and went undefeated, and a huge part of our team, so thank you.
Thanks. I'd like to thank all the wrestlers that came to practice even after they were done. It really helps out the team a lot to have extra people to practice with. And I'd like to thank all the fans too for coming and supporting us. Just thank you all.
Well, when we wrestled YME here, our first dual meet, and we beat them by one or it was a tie, something like that. I never thought we'd be in the state championship, and just goes to show that hard work can pay off. All you gotta do is work hard and get where you want to go. I'd also like to thank Amanda and Jenna and Megan for the balloons and the posters and everything. We had a heck of a run. It was fun. Oh, we gotta thank the cheerleaders. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And wouldn't have been any fun if it wouldn't have been as much smart mouth and trash talking as there was. I want to thank the parents for coming and show their support and bringing banners and cheer along for us. And Canby for the Pedialyte and stuff like that. I just want to thank everyone and next year will be fun too. Yeah, and I kind of had a disappointing season. I broke my ankle. And I really wanted to get back wrestling, but I got back at the end of the year and pushed myself. Gary helped me. Had to tape my ankle every day. So, thank you. Thanks for coming. I just want to say thanks to Gary for helping me make my quilt. Thanks for letting me stay with you. I'd like to thank the fans. You guys don't know how huge of an advantage it is to see all that orange and blue up there in the stands when you're wrestling and you look up and it's a huge momentum lifter. Thanks a lot. I'd like to thank all the fans who had some great support this whole year. I'd also like to thank Gary for all the extra stairs we've been running. Showed off. It helped every Sunday. Thanks.
Well, these gentlemen had an outstanding run. They beat two higher-ranked teams. They won the first one by only winning 6 matches. It doesn't happen in the state tournament. I guarantee you, it doesn't happen at all. Second one, they prevailed over an undefeated team. I know how heartbroken they were last night. They were wrestling, and I was reading something in the newspaper today about a team in 1995 that was really, really tough. They were ranked 7th in the nation. And one of the factors why they were so tough is they had 6 state place winners on their team. That was the 1995 Canby Championship team. Last night, guys, you wrestled a team that had 6 place winners on it, and you took 2 of them out. That's pretty good work. It's pretty good work. Pretty good. Only one thing we want to know is what would Gary do? The 4 words of his new middle name, WGD. And it's really important. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2005 state runner-up